Well, hi, everybody. It's Carla Archer here helping you work on your wellness. And if you're wondering why is she sitting in the dark, well, as things would have it, just as we were getting ready to go live, the power went out where I'm at. But hey, you know what? I had to figure out how to tether my phone to my laptop, which is something I've never done, and a quick recovery. So thank you so much, Jenny, for sticking with me through the little bit of upheaval here to do the interview tonight. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure to be here, and well done you. I mean, it's the way to handle things with a positive attitude right from the start. I love it.
Well, I'll introduce you guys, and it's my absolute pleasure and honor to have Jenny joining us here tonight. It means so much to me. And Jenny's a professional golfer for over 30 years. She's the winner of 9 professional golf tournaments, holder of 4 course records, Golf Digest Australian Women's Golfer of the Year in 1992, and that is just to name a few of her accolades that she has. Jenny currently is residing in Australia, and now she's helping other golfers both on and off the course to work on their mind game with her new business, Golf Mind Gym, and she trains your mind to master your game. So I'm really excited to hear from Jenny tonight. A few months ago, and for some of you, you may know that I'm an amateur golfer. I love the game of golf, and I'm always looking to learn and to improve my game. And for those of you who know my business that I'm involved in, you know that that's what brought me to neurological technology was my game of golf and looking for any way to try to improve it. But a few months ago, Jenny and I are in the same Women Who Golf group, and I'd seen a post that she had done, and it had kind of caught my eye. And she was talking about herself 25 years ago as a professional golfer, and it was an interview that you had done in Japan you were talking about, and how you remember yourself as maybe being unattractive and not good enough with a lot of self-doubt. And I found that really stopped me because I thought, oftentimes when we see professionals, we just think that they've got the world by the tail perhaps, and it really stopped me and connected me with you because I've often felt that way in my life, and started to look at your website, and we became friends on Facebook and had a few conversations, and I just couldn't be more thrilled that you're here tonight to talk to us and to help some people with their golf game and outside of their golf game as well.
Thanks, Carla. It's I love sharing my story, and my passion in life these days is through my life experience to try and help others, on and off the golf course, as you said.
Excellent. Well, I'm going to let you take it away, Jenny. Tell us a little bit about who you are, your professional experience, and what's brought you to where you're at today.
Okay, my story is I grew up in a small country town in Australia, and my dad was a good golfer, a scratch golfer. And, my family, I have an older brother and 2 sisters and mum, and we were a typical sporting family in the country. But mum and dad played a lot of golf, so we got into golf, and at a young age, my brothers and sisters were better than me, and I think we're all competitive. And so, I guess that spurred me on to work hard at it, even though I wasn't the most gifted naturally. I think one of my qualities is that I'm pretty determined and I can be focused. So, I set out to, I guess, fit in with the family and be the best golfer that I could be. And then about the age of 16, I was starting to improve quite well, and I decided I'd seen a magazine of my dad's about college in the States, and I didn't really know anything about that. And it was an article on a young girl in Georgia, and I thought, wow, this is interesting. I want to do that. Mm-hmm. Not realizing at the time, remembering this is back in the early 80s, that I just thought I want to do that. So I started to seek out ways to find out how to do that. And I ended up having to write letters to almost 70 universities in the United States, hunting down a golf scholarship. And, I ended up 2 years later getting a scholarship to Mississippi State University in the South of America. And I just took off as an 18-year-old and went over to the other side of the world, not knowing a soul, chasing my golf dream. And, I couldn't come back and forwards because my parents didn't have enough money, so I knew I was gone for quite a while. And so, yeah, I was gone for a number of years over to the States, and then came home after about 3 years. And I didn't finish my degree, but I continued my golf, and I didn't go back to college. So I then moved to Sydney, one of our biggest cities, to pursue my amateur golfing career, and played in all the top amateur events in the country, and eventually decided that I wanted to turn pro. And when I did that, there was a certain amount of, I guess I was scared in a way. I wasn't a confident young person in those days. I had, had a low self-esteem, and even though I came across that I was confident, there was a lot going on inside me that nobody really knew about. And I turned pro, and then I heard that people said, well, she'll never make it, and she's not good enough, and, never win a tournament and never make a cent from the game. So imagine how that made me feel. Not too good. But I went off to the European tour, and in that first year, I actually proved all those people right. Wrong. So I had a pretty rough start to my career, and I had 9 months on the European circuit, and came home to Sydney. And actually, it was my first year of marriage too. So, let's take on two big challenges at the same time. So I actually had a very supportive husband, and we came home, and I actually thought, had I made the wrong decision, and were all those people correct? But I wasn't prepared to give up on my dream. So I continued to practice and, work 3 jobs, the usual waitressing, bar work, cleaning houses, anything that fitted in with practicing my golf. And I went off to play some smaller events in Southeast Asia. And at the time, while I was preparing for that, I stumbled across a course called Mind Power. And back in those days, I never had really considered a sports psychologist. I didn't even know of them, but I knew I needed to change something. And I just heard it being advertised on the radio, this course, Mind Power, and I thought, well, there's something wrong here. I'll try anything. So I went along to the course, and it grabbed my attention straight away. I thought, I've got to change the way I think and the way I feel to improve myself, and then ultimately improve my golf game. So I did the course. Actually, I couldn't really afford it, and I decided, just whacked it on the credit card. And, that's one of those turning points where I took a gamble and it paid off. And what I learned in that course, it was not a lot to do with sport. It was about, I guess, personal development more than anything. But all the knowledge that I learned, I just applied it to the golf game. And then that's what changed my game around. A lot of my peers were like, oh, who's your new swing coach, and what are you learning? Who's teaching you what? And it was really all about the mind. And that's what transformed my game into having a successful career. And I embraced that, and I played on tour for probably another 15 years. Then I had my children, and I always was still in the golf industry in some way, shape, or form. But my children are adults now, and I've always had this passion. Someone once said to me, "Your story is really interesting. You should write a book." So I thought, I'll write a book, and maybe that can help people. So I started by doing that, and then Australian Ladies Professional Golf were doing a lot of national clinics throughout the countryside, encouraging our teaching pros to get involved with their local golfing communities. And we'd run a day for ladies, and we'd do every aspect of the game. And I said, someone's got to do the mental side. So that's how I started, by speaking all over the countryside. And my presentations were so well received. I thought, people would comment and say I got instant success by just changing some of the thought patterns, how they and their own self-esteem. A lot of us women, we don't put ourselves first in a lot of ways. We feel self-conscious. It's hard turning up to a golf course when you don't know people. We worry about, are we holding people up? Are we good enough? All those sorts of things. And a lot of that is in our personalities, and it certainly transfers into how we play golf. So I love it. I love what I'm doing now. I love this part of my life. I teach at a golf course here on the Gold Coast. I still do my seminars, and I do a lot of online work. And I'm really embracing this part of my time in the golf industry.
Well, it's such a wonderful story, and just again, as an amateur golfer, I've come to realize just how important the mindset is in the game, because it can be pretty intimidating, depending on the course that you're playing at, the people that you're playing with, their caliber. We always judge ourselves really harshly, and I've really found taking a little bit more control of my mindset has really made a big shift for me in my game.
Fantastic.
And I've been listening to and reading some of the information that you have out there. And these past 2 weekends, I've been trying, and like you were talking about the practice swing and how you visualize, what you want your shot to be. And, it doesn't work every time for me, but it certainly makes a huge difference. And I'm already golfing better than I have been in the past, just by implementing a few of those practices that you recommend. So going back to, that's, you had a lot going on in your young life, leaving your family, being away. You knew probably deep down that this is something you really wanted to pursue, choosing to make those sacrifices. So did you always feel like you obviously always felt like you had a golfer inside of you, that this was what your passion was and that's something you really wanted to do?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, I'm a big believer that everyone's given some sort of gift in life, and mine was to play golf. And I was lucky that something inside me kept pushing me to follow that dream, find out who that golfer was. And, there were so many tough times, the early days traveling around in an old van on the European tour, and, facing failure week in, week out, and, going to live in Japan, another foreign country where I couldn't speak the language. And I mentioned I was married early, and to get onto the tour up there, I would spend a couple of months at a time in that country, just on my own. And this is prior to a computer, a mobile phone. None of the TV was in English. So I did a lot of soul searching and a lot of reading in those times. And I look back and I think, how lucky was I that I had that opportunity? Sometimes I take photos of myself just sitting in a restaurant all by myself, and just to remind myself how tough it was and how lonely it was. But yeah, again, just knowing that this is what I had this feeling that it was what I was meant to do. And every time I got told I couldn't do it, my mum tells me that as a small child I was a contrary little miss. I believe even if we've got some qualities that can be looked at as not such a good quality, we can switch them into a good one.
Yeah, absolutely. And this goes back again, both inside of the game and outside of the game, where, how you self-talk and what your condition of your mind is, or your mental condition is so empowering and so significant. To be told at a young age, like you said, that you were voted the player least likely to succeed, or they said that you would never make any, well, that would deflate or empower a lot of people. It just sort of depends on how you take it and process it. So.
And there were certainly times when I could easily fall into self-pity and live in those moments if I chose to. And I think only until I found this course that made me look at those sort of things, and the ability to have a look at the thoughts that we have, whether I choose to believe that thought or that comment, or whether I choose it as an untrue statement, and it doesn't have to be that way. That was the awareness that came for me, that I could actually watch my thinking. And that's the first step I teach anyone. I teach people to catch their thinking on the golf course. So it's funny, you know, there's a lot of examples. People get to the golf course and after one shot they say, oh, no, it's going to be one of those days. So that's what yeah. Or someone says, how are you going today? Oh, I shouldn't be here. I'm playing so badly. So what are we saying to ourselves? Is that really a true statement, or are we just running old habits and thoughts that aren't really the thoughts are sabotaging us, not the golf swing. So it's pretty powerful when you can and you can get a hold of that. You know, the old the water hole really does a lot of people's head in. They get out an old ball and they think, I'm going to hit it in the water, and then they hit it in the water. And then to me, that's proof that you actually do what you're thinking. I know I'm going to hit it in the water, and then I do. So imagine standing on that same tee and saying, oh, no, I hope I don't hit it up on the green.
Yeah.
It's quite funny, you know. If we start saying, oh, gosh, I don't want to hit it in the middle of the fairway, but our mind tells us, don't hit it in the trees, don't hit it in the bunker. So that's all it's hearing. But no, hit it down the middle of the fairway. Give yourself clear instructions what you want to achieve. So the same for me. I want to be a successful professional golfer. So my thought pattern when I first went on tour was, I hope I make a few cuts. Now, if I'm thinking about the cut line in a professional tournament, most of the time I'm either going to just miss it or just make it. So when I changed my mindset that, you know, I'm quite a good golfer, I can shoot some low numbers, why don't I think about winning the tournament? So my focus totally changed in that area. And then I had to follow a process to make that happen, which is the physical practice, the constant monitoring of my thoughts and my feelings, and how to learn to grow. And as you said with your own game, it doesn't happen all the time. But when it doesn't happen, to be kind to how we talk to ourselves. You know, if you play with your playing partner and they hit one bad shot on the first hole, we don't turn to them and say, oh, I think you should go home now. It's going to be one of those days. Quite funny, isn't it? But we say it to ourselves.
It is quite funny, and I love what you're saying, because it translates so much to you know, the business aspect too. This is a lot of the self-talk that a person needs to have when they're in any facet of their life, really. You know, visualizing what you want to see you becoming, but know that you can't just visualize. You also have to do the work to get you there, but have clear intent in your mind. I love that, and you're right. We're so worried about what might happen, like you said, worried about the trees, the water. Why not just focus on what we want to happen? It's very powerful. Tell me a little bit about the exercise that you were talking about you did with some of the ladies when they had to be the first ones up to tee or the last ones, and sort of that mindset too.
Oh, okay. Yeah, with one of the clinics that we were doing, I just got all the ladies in a group, and so I say to them, okay, now we're going to hit a shot in front of everybody, and instantly everyone goes, oh, no, I don't want to do that. So the thoughts are already, obviously, I don't want to hit a bad shot in front of the people standing around. But we have to do that all the time on the golf course. But when you're just in a small group and you're standing there, and then I say, who wants to go first? No one wants to. So it's all that doubt and fear that comes up, and the anxiety of the outcome. So they're already thinking, what if I hit a bad shot? How am I going to look? How am I going to feel? What will people think? So in the exercise, I usually get someone to come up and start off. And if the first person hits quite a good shot, everyone cheers. And that person's like, oh, thank goodness. And then the next person comes up and they get a little bit of the same feelings and thoughts, and then they might hit quite a reasonable shot, and everyone's like, yay, and they're relieved as well. And you can see the people in the group as it goes along, they're then starting to get even more worried, because these other people have hit good shots. Am I going to be the one that hits the bad shot? So they're all there quite terrified of just focusing on the outcome of the shot. And then when somebody actually hits a bad shot, For an instant, they feel bad, but everyone else says, oh, that's okay. Oh, thanks for doing that. At least it's not me. So they can that person feels a bit better all of a sudden. And then the others relax a little bit. Okay, it doesn't matter if I actually hit a bad shot too because somebody else did it. So all this mind chatter and stuff that's going in just a few minutes while we're standing there. And I asked the people in the group, are you judging the other people thinking, what if they hit a bad shot? Nobody's ever thinking about that. They're hoping that the person in front of them usually hits a good shot because they don't want them to embarrass themselves, hit a bad shot in front of the group. Usually most people are caring and loving and want the other person to do well, but they don't give themselves that same, talk or transfer those thoughts and feelings to the self. So that's really quite powerful. So when we go to the golf course, a lot of times what we're thinking about, what everyone else is thinking about us, is not even real. Everybody's worrying about their own game, trying to do the best they can. So just understanding that. And then what I did with that exercise, a tool that really helped, was the second time round, I got people to speak out loud, focusing on their target and telling us their pre-shot routine. And the report I got back the second time was that everybody felt less of the mind chatter and the negative thoughts and feelings because their mind was focusing on the job they had to do. So I transferred their focus into, you actually have to speak out loud what your target is. You have to tell me what your pre-shot routine is. And then you have to say, now I'm watching the ball and I hope I hit it. So your mind is busy with a job to do. And then all of a sudden you forgot that these people were standing around watching, just a small group of ladies in a ladies' clinic. And that's exactly the same thing that I do if I've got to hit off in front of 5,000 people. So it's no different. I have that same anxiety and that fear and thoughts of I don't want to mess up here. So what I do to overcome that is go into that absolute routine. Okay, I'm picking my target, I'm doing my routine, and all of a sudden my mind's busy with the job at hand, and that's bringing me into the now and the present moment to actually get the physical task done.
Well, that's a really great tip. And again, so much of what you're saying, I'm just thinking, wow, you could use that in so many other areas of your life as well. But I know it can be very intimidating on the golf course at times, again, depending on who's around, who you're golfing with, how you feel about your level of golf and skills. And you're right, that's something that I'm going to practice more too, is busying my mind. Because for yourself, if you're golfing in front of 5,000 people, I often wonder that when I'm watching on TV, how do they do that with all those people standing so close to them?
And there's little tricks that we can play because we all get nervous and, we can't fight being nervous. So it's a state of being, okay, I'm nervous. So instead of it overcoming you and making you crippled to actually follow through with your golf swing, just the thought of I actually play my best golf when I'm nervous. So that's what I used to tell myself. Oh, I feel nervous. Oh, that's great. So turn it into a good feeling. Okay, I'm ready to play now because I'm nervous. Instead of going, oh my gosh, I'm nervous. I hope I'm going to play terrible now because I'm so nervous. So it's that mindset again. And then, just taking just that pause. Okay, I'm feeling nervous. And what would you say to a little kid? Mom, I'm feeling really nervous. Or the teacher or someone would say, it's okay, Johnny. It's all right. Just go ahead and do it anyway. It's okay that you're feeling like that. So just talking to ourselves a little bit like that. It's okay to be nervous. We all get nervous.
Well, and the mind is a muscle too. And those are things that we need to practice and work on and work that out so that becomes our new norm, or at least we know the difference when we're out of that and when we're in it and how to move towards that better mindset. Those are some amazing tips. Tell us a little bit about your book. You mentioned it earlier. When did you write the book?
Good question. I've got to say it's maybe 4 years ago. Wow, yeah, probably 4 or 5 years ago. And it was something that, I wrote a book years ago, but it was very detailed about my whole story. And I still have that as maybe a record for my kids to read one day or something. Mm-hmm. But I realized that part of the book has a little bit of the story I shared earlier about my journey as a professional golfer and the ups and downs. So that's really just a little bit of insight into where I came from. And then I thought most people these days don't want to have a lot of time. They're time poor. I don't want it to be an epic novel just about me. I want the book to be able to help people in an easy, effective way. So it's really a lot of tools and strategies that just mention some of the things that I used that I know people can read the book within 2 hours. There's a lot of exercises that you can implement straight away and get instant success. So pretty much that's what the book's about. A little bit about me, but a lot about you and how you can fix your golf game.
Oh, awesome. And can we I'm going to put up your website and your Facebook page as well. We can order the book online, can we?
Absolutely. If you just go to my website, jennysevil.com or jennysevilthemindgame.com.au, you can order the book online there. And you can also go, I think in the States, it's still on Amazon.
Okay.
Should be able to find it in Amazon. But yeah, directly, there's an ebook also. So the ebook for anyone that's anywhere in the world, if you want it instantly, the ebook's there. So it's just jennysevil.com/ebook/. Okay. So yeah, and it's only the ebook's only 15 Australian dollars, which I think is only about $7 or $8 US, not much with the Australian dollar the way it is at the moment. So it's certainly a great read. I'm not sure what the Canadian rate to the Australian is, but
somewhere in the middle of that probably. Yeah.
yeah. So for an easy read, it's an introduction into what I do, and I think anyone that wants to have a look at that, if they're interested, I do a lot of consulting over the phone as well, so I can do that. How we are now, like Zoom, Skype, just a telephone conversation, and I've coached a lot of people doing that. So, I'd love to reach out to more people all over the world and give them some help with that side of the game.
Yes, for sure. I can imagine just having the one-on-one and talking you through what, giving a little bit more detail about the particulars for each individual. And I saw on your website as well, you have some more information about your private coaching. And again, I'll be posting that website and the links in the feed here as well. Now, you do have a video workshop on your website as well that people can purchase?
Yeah, it's just an hour presentation that I do that is an introduction to everything that I teach. It's the presentation that I did, all over the countryside that I had a lot of feedback from. Just to, I guess, blow my own trumpet a little bit. I did a presentation to a bunch of ladies on the Sunshine Coast, which is probably about 3 hours north of where I live, another part of Australia. And there were, I believe, 62 ladies in the room that came to my presentation, all golfers, and I sold 64 books. So I tell people that only because I know what I teach really resonates with a lot of people. And I just, they wanted more, and that they took it away. And, after that, I had numerous text messages about the instant results they got from watching the workshop, coming to the workshop, and also purchasing the book. So, I don't feel like I'm a big salesperson, but if anyone's interested in looking at what I do, they're both great ways to get a taste of it.
Well, and Jenny, a real life story is the best way to, I'll say, sell anything, because you're living proof of what you're talking about. You didn't just come up with this and have never put it into practice. You've actually done this and at a professional level. So the validity of what you're offering is there for sure, for sure.
Oh, thanks, Carla. Yeah. Sometimes I just pinch myself and think how lucky I was. And yeah, and yeah, it is. It is my passion now to help people because, yeah, I do feel grateful. And yeah, it's just if I can help other people enjoy their game, yeah, that's a gift in itself.
Yeah, for sure. But it sounds like, you know, you made some choices at a young age. You know, you had to seek out the way to find your schooling. You made a choice to leave your family and go to a country you've never been to before. You made some hard choices too, and put a lot into what you've accomplished in your life too. So that's really great to see, because I think a lot of times, you know, I love that. Have you ever seen that image of overnight success? And people say, oh, they're an overnight success. But they don't realize what it took to get to that point where they're finally being recognized. There's a lot of work behind any kind of success that comes in life.
True. I often, some people said to me over the years, oh, I wish I'd played golf, or I wish I'd stuck at golf, or oh, I wish I'd taken it up. You know, yeah. So it is funny. I know there was a lot of work, there was a lot of hardship. Yeah, but it's part of life. You know, I think that's it. You know, every time something hard happened, you know, to brush myself off and yeah, keep on going. And you know, I am a very oversensitive, emotional person, and I just think through all that I've become stronger, and yeah, and that's what life's all about, you know, learning through. If you know, as you say, if I'd taken the comments that I was not good enough, or I was never going to be successful, if I'd chosen to believe that, then my life would be completely different now. So I was lucky. I think everybody has a choice, and it's a pretty powerful thing. But you know, if you have a choice, you've got to back it up with the action.
For sure. And, you know, when you were talking about kind of knowing that this was something that you really wanted to do, I can relate in that I share that same passion in what I'm doing now. And there's some days I stop myself and go, why am I doing this? But there was just something in my gut that told me this is the direction I was supposed to go in. And kind of like you said, you know, it doesn't become work all the time when it's something that you truly enjoy, that you're driven towards, and you know that this is where you're supposed to be going. It takes on a whole different life of its own, so to speak.
Yeah, and it's interesting, like how similar people on the same journey. Like you're over in Canada and I'm here, and we've come together because, you know, I guess we're driven by a similar path and a similar wellness for what we want for people. And yeah, it's so great. How amazing is golf to connect people in so many different ways. Yeah.
It is, you know, and in the group that we're a part of, you know, I've met and connected with so many interesting people. And it seems like when you can connect with people on some form of common platform that you really enjoy, then it just brings out the best in people. And it's a wonderful way to meet. And you're absolutely right. You know, we're both working different lines of work, but working to help people, you know, improve their lives, work on their wellness in different ways that we can do that. And your business is about the mind, my business is about the mind. So there's a lot of parallels. Now, if you had one tip to start with, just one little suggestion, what would be the thing that you would emphasize the most for people when they're heading out to the golf course next time to try?
I would think for the first week to monitor what you're saying to yourself. You know, are you giving yourself positive statements? Just to catch your thinking. So step one is always catch your thinking. So that's really just thinking, what am I thinking right now? Okay, I'm thinking I'm going to hit a bad shot. Why am I thinking that? I can delete that thought. So if I typed on the computer, I'm now going to have hit a bad shot, I wouldn't like the look of that. So I can hit the delete button. So learn to do that with your thoughts on the golf course. Just delete them and then have a look at choosing the thought that you're going to insert into your mind.
Well, that's a great tip. And that becomes so habitual sometimes that we don't even recognize that we're feeding ourselves negative thoughts until we actually stop and pay attention. And I'll even catch myself now going, hey, don't talk to yourself like that, because, like you said, it's funny how we are as humans, that we have that tendency to talk to ourselves, unlike how we would talk to anyone else.
No, that's right. Yeah. Like if I was walking into the bunker and I'm thinking to myself, oh, I never get out of bunkers, I should just pick up. Imagine if I was walking in there and someone else said to me, hey, you should pick that up because you're not going to get out of there. It's actually crazy. It makes me laugh, some of the things I think about what we say to ourselves. Or we hit a bad shot and then we curse or we call ourselves names. Well, we wouldn't talk to a small child or our best friend that way. So that's another thing. Look at how you're talking to yourself. Are you being your own best friend?
Yeah, that's a really great tip. And that's an everyday too, be your own best friend. Really good advice. I know for myself, in my game when I first started, I knew that I had the capability of learning to be a better golfer, but I hadn't taken lessons. And so that was really frustrating. And now what I find has happened is that, oh yeah, you know what? I'll make a mistake or do whatever, but at least I know what I did wrong. So for me, there's a lot of comfort in knowing that, rather than being frustrated and exasperated about, I don't even know how to fix this. So
yeah, there's power in knowledge, or awareness. So if we don't know we're doing something, we don't know we're doing it. Just like when I first went on pro, I didn't know the professional tour. I didn't know that my thinking was bad until the results were showing something was wrong. So if there's something wrong, in your physical being with health and well-being, it gets to a point where sometimes it gets so bad that we have to think, maybe I've got to change something. So that's what happened in my golf game. I needed to change something. Okay, what was it? It was the way I was thinking. So, if I'm physically ill, maybe I need to change my diet. Maybe I need to exercise more. It's across the board, these thoughts and how we apply them to life in general.
And that was out of the box, like you said, for you. Where now having a sports psychologist is probably part of what most professionals do. Whereas back when you were in the professional leagues, that wasn't something, it was more physical. Like you said, everybody was asking you, did you get a new coach for this or that or the other thing? And you're like, no, I just retrained my mind.
Yeah, that's right. And the thing is, I think why I love working with people, and I think I resonate with a lot of people, because I have experienced those really dark, deep, depressing moments where I thought it could have been all over, or I was frustrated, or I just wanted to give up. I saw in our group the other day a lady posted that she was having those thoughts, and she shared in the group that, has anyone else ever felt like they just want to give up golf because they don't know what to do right now? And so, that was me on tour. So when people come to me and they actually get really honest about how they're feeling, it can change their game instantly.
Absolutely. And everything that you said here tonight too is not just for women. It's not just for men. It's for anybody. And the group that you're talking about, and I'm certain that there are probably some for men as well we're on the Facebook group, but it is a really nice community because it's open, it's kind, it's there to help support one another, no matter what level you are at your game. And so that's really nice that you mentioned that, and, helped her out a little bit, because we've all been there and we know how that can feel some days for sure. So,
yeah.
Excellent. Well, do you have anything else that you wanted to share with us tonight, Jenny?
Oh, I'd just like to thank you, Carla, for reaching out and asking me to be here today, because I love connecting with like-minded people, and I love what you're doing and sharing, and to take the time to be here with you today has actually been an honor for me. So yeah, I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much. And hopefully, this information will help somebody on the golf course, help somebody off of the golf course. And you guys check out Jenny's website. Again, her website is here. I'm going to post that as well in the comment section. I'll post the link for her Facebook page as well, so that you can connect with her. Take a look at her information. Take a look at She's very humble. She is very real. She has an amazing amount of accomplishments. We didn't even list them all here or really talk about them all, but a lot of real experience to back up what she talks about and able to help us. So if you guys like what you've seen here tonight in the interview, we'd love you to drop a comment below. Just one of maybe your favorite takeaways from tonight's interview. And we'll get back to you on that. I'll share that with Jenny too. If you have any questions at all, it's okay for them to reach out to you, Jenny?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Perfect. So we'll post all that information for you. So thank you so much again. I truly appreciate it. It is so nice to speak with somebody who has the experience and who brings so much to the game and off of the course as well. It's been an absolute pleasure getting to know you, and I look forward to talking with you and learning more about the mind game and how I can become a better golfer with my mindset. And I think it's going to be improving. I'm looking forward to it.
Wonderful, Carla. Keep me posted. Send me those scores as they start to go down.
Yes, absolutely. I will, for sure. So thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. If you'd like, you can follow me here at Carla Archer, helping you work on your wellness, and stay tuned for more information coming your way. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.